All right, you all, welcome back once again to the Diggie A2 podcast. We got episode 7 up here. We're talking about the Beastie Boys, one of the most anticipated shows of the season thus far. I just want to give a quick shout out to all of my, our fans, supporters who've been emailing, calling, text messaging me about how much this channel has grown in, like 7-8 weeks. It is tremendous what's going on out there. But continue to subscribe, spread the word. We're going to show love, show the support that we have for our favorite topic, which is hip hop. Lots of bad things going on in the world right now, but one thing that connects all of us is always music. We really find that as a safe haven, as a safe place. So I'm going to switch gears here and do a quick introduction of two guests that you've already heard from before. William James Boyd, AJ P. Paris are back on the show again to talk about one of the most impactful groups in the history of hip hop, which is the Beastie Boys. And you guys, I got a big announcement about this show because they have been all over. And so I'm amped. I'm ready to go. William James is ready to go. AJ is ready to go. So let's just jump into the tail of the tape real quick so we can get this going.
Yeah.
So Beastie Boys, all right, 3-time Grammy winners, 4-time MTV VMA Awards, which one of them was the Michael Jackson Video Vanguard Award for Lifetime Achievement in 1998. 1-time MTV Europe Award, 2-time MTV Japan Award. They are the 3rd hip-hop group to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame behind Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5 and Run DMC, who we've already had an episode about already. Yep. One of the most influential hip-hop rock artists in the history of time, which we'll definitely dive into in this episode. They have sold 20 million albums worldwide, making them one of the most widely sold hip-hop groups in history, or actually probably the top. I don't think anybody's even close to them in regards to album sales. But we're going to be talking about the Beastie Boys in the 80s. So in the 80s, Beastie Boys dropped 2 albums, very distinct sounds, very unique styles, and the very first album, License to Ill, is considered by most the greatest, what I would say, first albums in the history of music from some of the things I was reading. People all around love this album. It is one of the 9 hip-hop, this is going to blow you guys' mind. This is one of the 9 hip-hop albums in history to have diamond sales. All right, let me just give you an idea.
Wow.
Million albums sold. There are only 9 albums in history of hip-hop. License to Ill is one of those 9 albums. All right, that's just
nice.
This that album has done. And also, it was covered by the Source magazine, blessed with 5 mics as well. License to Ill.
Boom.
Paul's Boutique, which came out in 1989, which was very different. But License to Ill, Paul's Boutique is what we're going to be focusing on for this episode, because we are talking about the 80s and we're talking about hip hop in the 80s. And you can't talk about the impact of hip hop in the 80s without talking about the Beastie Boys. All right. So I'm going to pass the mic. Give us a little bit of perspective on Beastie Boys' impact in the world of hip hop in the 80s.
Hey, Rob.
Yeah,
I thought you said you had a bold statement to make.
Yeah,
I did.
Yeah. I think we want to hear that first.
Here we go. So,
hey, IE, if you out there, listen, IE, listen.
All right, so for all the fans out there listening, DJ IE, shout out to DJ IE when you're watching this. But yeah, my bold statement. So I had a couple of conversations with a certain gentleman on the show a few weeks ago, and I was like, "Yo, man, why are we doing Beastie Boys? And Beastie Boys is whack as fuck. Like, why are we doing the Beastie Boys?" So a couple of my comrades, Jay and DJ IE and William James Boyd, sat me down and said, "Yo, what in the hell is you talking about? Like, why are you not giving Beastie Boys their props?" So my bold announcement, this is bold, you guys. Check this out. I'm going to put Boys in my top 5 most impactful groups in the history.
Yes.
Beastie Boys, they changed how you look at hip-hop.
Look at that.
Changed how you expand hip-hop. And I'm going to make that bold announcement right now. So when I had my top 5 was Run DMC, Eric B. and Rakim, it was LL Cool J, MC Light, and then I had Public Enemy. But I'm gonna swap out Public Enemy. I'm gonna have a graphic come up right here. Scratching out Public Enemy, and I'm replacing them with the Beastie Boys. The Beastie Boys has so much influence on hip hop; it is insane. Even more so than Public Enemy. I mean, when I was going listening to some of their music, I was like, "Yo, like I've heard this in other songs. I've heard this in other little trickles, you know, and other 80s hip hop." And you can't like not give them their respect if you don't go back and listen and do your homework. And I am being humble, right? I can admit when I'm wrong, right? I was wrong, you know what I mean? So I apologize. You know, I tip my cap if I had one on today, but I got the waves go out, you know what I mean? So, but I tip my cap to AJ Boyd and DJ IE. Shout out to y'all, man, for humbling me and making me go back as a historian, listen to the music. Their impact on hip hop is unmatched. All right, that is my bold statement for the rest of this. I'm replacing Public Enemy with the Beastie Boys. So yes,
that is deep. Yes, that's deep.
To you guys, man, for opening my eyes as a historian to go back.
Rock on.
Man. So AJ, thanks for putting him on the spot, bro. Man.
Hey, I wanted to hear the bold statement. I didn't know it was gonna go that deep. I thought it was just like
I'm going.
I thought they were whack, but I take it back. That's all I thought it was gonna be. You know. hey, but like you said, Rob, you know, the whole impact and everything. Even like to this day, like album from last year, Astro World by Travis Scott. Listen to the song Carousel, and now you know. You listen to License to Ill, you're gonna hear something on that song throughout the whole song, and you'll be like, "Oh shit, I heard that." Just like what you said, and
I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, Carousel, check it out.
Yes.
Okay. Other than the song being dope, but the
album
they get a deep sample. It
was a pretty decent album, but AJ, I just want to pass the mic to you, man, just really quickly on how the Beastie Boys has impacted hip hop from your perspective.
All right, great. So the Beastie Boys, you know, they debuted License to Ill, right? But before that, I've heard of them. You know, they came out a couple underground tracks called Rock Hard, which they sampled AC/DC's Back in Black. It's one of them hard to find. And it was kind of party for your right-ish type of song. But it was, you could tell it was so 80s. And they also came out with She's On It on the Crush Groove soundtrack. They were actually I think they had a snippet in the movie too. Yeah. And then they came out with this weird, like psychedelic BS LP called Cookie Puss. Right. And with Cookie Puss, they didn't think anything of it. And all of a sudden the DJs in New York and Philly and stuff started spinning Cookie Puss. Yep. And at the clubs and stuff like that. And so that right there was like a beginning impact right there. And for them to enter a genre that they may have not had any place to be in at that time and doing what they did from grassroots, from the ground, they paved their way. It's not like today where you can flip some bars on somebody's song and then boom, you're a star. No, they paved their way. They got dirty, you know, everything. Yeah, did they turn into the frat party group for License to Ill? Yeah, they did. But that was the image that they were supposed to present, and that was most likely coming from the record company, and then they absorbed it and everything. So, but their impact after that is just amazing. It's just amazing when that album came out, because it I'm gonna go a little racial, you know, introduction and stuff into it. You had people like me. I break dance. I spun in the box. I mean, I did all that stuff. And then, you know, you listen to Run DMC, LL, and then the Beastie Boys drop, and it was like, that's me right there. You know, I kind of dressed like that. You know, and it wasn't anything about disrespect or anything like that. But it was just like, I like that. You know, and to me, it wasn't whack. Yeah, did Fight for Your Right to Party get overplayed? Yeah, I did. You know, but that's how they do big hits on anybody's album, on anybody's record, or something like that. One of the big impacts is because when they were working on License to Ill, of course, Rick Rubin and Russell Simmons, and with Russell's brother, Ron from Run DMC. He actually came up with the intro lyric, whatever you want to call it, the intro verse, the first verse of Paul Revere, and said, "This is what you're doing," and got writing credits for it, and also with Slow and Low got writing credits for it, and it does kind of sound Run DMC-ish somewhat, but it worked, It
worked like a charm.
It worked.
Yeah.
And the part I was talking about was he goes, "Now here's a little story, got to tell," and keep on going. "Three bad brothers, so well."
Yeah.
And then with Ad Rock sound, and all three of them had a different sound. Shut up, dog. And you got that on video.
Yes.
So you had three rappers in the group that had three different distinct sounds in their voice. So you had Ad Rock with the raspy and high pitched raspy. Mike D was like kind of sound like a kid, but kind of not. But he had a cool voice. And then MCA was more of like the deeper sound and everything.
Yeah.
And MCA can flow.
Yeah.
He wasn't just all the boom bap. Hey, he can actually flow. You listen to him throughout the years and so on and so forth.
Yep.
Just a little bit more impact on the Beastie Boys, other than what you said, Rob, on a personal level. I mean, I'm going to put this on record. License to Ill is my favorite album of all time. Every single genre. License to Ill is my number one album. Now, are they number one, hands down. It's an album you can just sit there and listen to every song. You can chill. You can drink. You can do whatever. You can bring it back to being a freaking teenager. Well, some of us. But and I also, on the record, I have my driver's my license plate on my car is personalized, and it says LC2IL.
I love it.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a major impact in life and everything, and that's how it is to me.
AJ, I appreciate that, man. And this is when you meet different individuals in your life that you come across in certain aspects of life, right? So AJ was super smart, and when I knew kind of like how about his style, a little bit about his history, he knew about the Beastie Boys. I was like, I gotta have this dude on this show because he is exactly what we're talking about. When the music speaks to the person showcase, not only how it impacts them personally, but how it impacts music as a genre. So, I mean, which brings me to our first discussion question, gentlemen. So, License to Ill, AJ's top favorite, number one, but this also had diamond sales. There's not a lot of artists that can brag about diamond sales. And you know how hard it is to sell 10 million albums in hip hop? It's extremely hard to do. License to Ill not only met expectations, it exceeded expectations. From New York. I mean, are you right now can sell diamond albums? So my first question to you, gentlemen, I'm gonna pass the mic to Boyd on this one first. Does License to Ill make your top 10 list of hip hop albums of all time?
It has to. It has to. I'm gonna have to actually go back and look at my list because it changes from time to time. But that's one of those albums that it's if it wasn't there now, it's there now because it has to be. You have to understand the Beastie Boys DNA is in a lot of different groups. You know what I'm saying? Without the Beastie Boys, you don't have, in my opinion, and I could be wrong, but in my opinion, you don't have like classics like the Judgment Night soundtrack. You don't have your Mike Shinoda's and your Linkin Parks. You don't have, Fred Durst. You don't have all the other groups. I think the Beastie Boys, a lot of people made a false comparison between them and Run DMC. And the thing is, you can't make that comparison because even if they were touted as like two sides of the coin, Run DMC were the elder statesmen. You know what I'm saying? Because it's difficult to mention one without the other. So they were the elder statesmen. They were the kings of rock. You know what I'm saying? There was a certain air of aristocracy with Run DMC. The Beastie Boys, they were the parties, the party guys, the jocks. You know what I'm saying? you know, the punk rockers, you know what I'm saying, that rapped, you know, and they morphed into something like extremely important. Like you said, the difference in paradigm from License to Ill to Paul's Boutique was significant. In fact, tell you how impactful they are. The highest selling rap artists on the planet, you know what I'm saying, on Kamikaze, you know, used the he rejiggered the album cover from the Beastie Boys License to Ill for, you know, Kamikaze. He was showing mad props, you know, for that.
Facts.
Yeah,
Yep.
seriously. The Beastie Boys, you got to understand, man, going diamond, my God, that tells you, okay, at a time when things were kind of like, they made experimentation possible, you know what I'm saying? And it was so funny because I think they kind of eliminated the whole, oh, that's just another white group, a white boy, you know, type of deal. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like, you know, we still talk about Third Base. We still talk about the Beastie Boys. But when they came out, they were just something different. There was nobody in that lane, and they filled it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Subsequent albums, you know what I'm saying? They continue to elevate their craft. They continue to refine it. And the best, like you touched on it earlier, you know, off camera.
AJ.
The best songs weren't necessarily the ones that hit, you know? The Beastie Boys, they did their thing. And then when you think about it, what was that? I think it was Paul Revere where they did the backwards, you know, the backwards beat. Yeah, that, you know, with that, you know, with the scratching. That was crazy.
Yeah.
Nobody done that. Nobody was doing that. You know, they were innovators. There was a lot of firsts with the Beastie Boys, and they are underappreciated. I know they have all those accolades, but they're extremely underappreciated. And so, yes, the Beastie Boys are definitely in my top 10. They have to be in my top 10 albums of all time. That album in and of itself, I mean, I might fast forward past Girls, but if I do fast forward, it's just because I want to get to a better song. But even that stupid girl song, I'll listen to it for nothing but nostalgia reasons. You know what I'm saying? Because it's goofy. You know, Fight for Your Right to Party. They overplayed that on the radio. And it's so funny because the Beastie Boys are saying, yeah, here's a dig at all you privileged idiots. You know what I'm saying? And everybody's like, oh, my God, Fight for Your Right to Party. You know what I'm saying? Gotta love them, man. They're in my top 10. They're definitely in my top 10.
Well, I don't have to ask this question to AJ, so that we're gonna kind of save some time on that because I already know how AJ. But me as a new listener to the album this week, I just all the major hits, I was like, okay, those are right. But it was the non-hits that I liked, you know, like the New Style, Posse in Effect.
Yes.
Right. I like Girls. Girls like a flip on elevator music. Like
yes.
Genius was some of the things that they did. Like who the hell doing this in 1986? Like, and Paul Revere, you know, speaks for itself. Like I don't even have to dive into that. That's a dope track. Period. You know what I mean? So you can play that on the radio right now, and it's still gonna get played. You know what I mean? It's just a dope track, you know, regardless. But so let's gears.
Yep.
So we're talking about you know, the Beastie Boys, you know, transcending hip hop. And then they made another album in '89 called Paul's Boutique. So shout out to our group, Hip Hop Heads Unite. I put a poll out there this week about which album do you like better, License to Ill or Paul's Boutique. So there was one person, shout out to DJ IE, if you're watching this, DJ IE. He was the one that chose Paul's Boutique over everyone else. 92% of the group chose License to Ill. My vote was there as well. But I can listen to Paul's Boutique this week. And I thought about it, I was like, you know what? I could see why he thought that way, because Paul's Boutique is a masterful album. Very different from License to Ill.
It is.
Sampling, the sound of it is just superior. So I'm going to pass it to AJ first. So AJ, although you feel License to Ill is your favorite album of all genres of music, when you take a glance and listen to Paul's Boutique, though, what are your thoughts on, is it misunderstood? Is it underappreciated?
It's both, you know. And the reason, it could be my opine, it could be facts, most likely facts, is that we, the people, wanted another License to Ill. You know, the fans wanted another anthem, you know, and they didn't want to do that. And one of the reasons from stuff I was watching that they, you know, Paul's Boutique came about was they left Def Jam for contractual reasons and creativity reasons. And so when they got signed by Capitol Records, they were allowed to have this creative freedom. And I think you mentioned earlier they got with the Dust Brothers, and that was by accident. They were just having a party, and I think it was Ad Rock heard that a song playing in the background, and he found out who it was, and then that's how Paul's Boutique got back. The Beasties got back together after a couple months hiatus and started writing Paul's Boutique. It was purely by accident. And why it's misunderstood or whatever is because it wasn't Licensed to Ill.
Yeah.
Was it sophomore slump? Could have been, but people wanted the party. They wanted the anthems, and they didn't deliver those, but they delivered so much music, so much creativity in the music in every single song, the sampling, the layering, even instruments that they played, was a nightmare for hip hop.
Right.
A nightmare for the producers, because they felt like, and I believe Chuck D even said it on an interview, they use everything you could possibly think of, and now how am I supposed to make an album? And
yeah.
And that's why DJ IE is so favorable toward Paul's Boutique, because he's a DJ and he's like a producer and stuff like that.
Right.
And so that's how you appreciate it. And so the regular world, it's misunderstood because that's not what the regular world wanted. I liked it, I personally liked it. It was funky, it was different, and different is good. I mean, I pay the bills sometimes, but technically they had a long-term contract, so they were getting paid regardless,
Right.
So yeah, it's really a great album.
It is a great album. I definitely think it's misunderstood, and that goes back to the sound of hip hop, the impact of the Beastie Boys. The same thing, like you said, AJ. They wanted the kind of like how it reminds me of something Eminem said. That I'm trying to think of the lyric that he mentioned something about they wanted another Slim Shady LP, and he delivered something different, and he delivered Marshall Mathers LP, which is the largest, the highest selling hip hop album of all time. You guys, if you didn't know, it's the Marshall Mathers LP, 11 million albums. But with that in mind, though, they wanted. The fans wanted one thing, and when you listen to Lights the Ill and Paul's Boutique, very, very different. I don't even think I heard any of the guitar riffs at all. Except for Looking Down the Barrel has a little
Barrel of the Gun
riffs, like a tiny bit. But I wrote some of those favorites down. I like Eggman. That sample on Eggman is dope. That is dope. Plains Drifter, another one of my favorites I heard this week. Like, the sampling, the creativity, the musicianship, as AJ mentioned, is really, really sound and very, very cleverly put together. But it was just overlooked, and to me it fits in with the time with the rest of hip hop. But I think to AJ's point, the fans wanted another License to Ill. They didn't deliver that. They left Def Jam. But those one of those things where that's why I feel like it's underappreciated, because now what gets all these top album lists, and that was on this list and that list, top lists of the albums in the 80s. Like, I don't even know, like, who was that? That is funky. Like, Eggman, got Eggman,
Yeah.
I don't know anything about Beastie Boys like it was. I had to go back and do some research. I'm like, Eggman is funky. High Plains Drifter, I like that.
Yeah, and I love it because, like, High Plains Drifter, not only does it evoke a certain image, when I hear High Plains Drifter, I automatically go back to Clint Eastwood. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
yeah. Like West, you like they paint but it's funky, boy. It is.
Yes.
And like, my goodness. But all right, you guys. So check this out. So I have no more discussion questions. I want to start wrapping things up, but I want to give AJ the last opportunity to speak on the Beastie Boys, because this was his wheelhouse, and I want to.
Yes.
I really, really wanted to. When we were talking about this episode early on, you all, I was not excited about this episode. I'm going to be extremely transparent about this. Saw and re-listening as owing it to the rest of the hip hop historians that are on the show. I owed it to you guys and everyone to go back and re-listen. And I am a fan. I'm putting them on my top 5 list for the 80s for sure. And if I remember right, AJ put MCA at his top 5. I want to say lyric for the 80s as well. So he was number 5, but tied with a couple other cats. So I
love that dude.
He mentioned we was on the show for the first time. But AJ, I'm going to give you the opportunity, sir, to close us out. What are your final thoughts on the Beastie Boys, and then we can close the show out for this week.
So real quick about the Beastie Boys, 80s. You know, you may have mentioned they opened up for Madonna. Their first tour outside of clubs. They toured with Run DMC. I even seen this old deep cut video where they were on this stage about the size of your kitchen table, and LL Cool J was on the stage with them in the background, because it's I think it's a Def Jam promotion or something like that back then. I mean, you're talking about early mid 80s or whatever, and so everyone was just into it, you know. And yeah, did they stand out in the crowd? Yes, but that had nothing to do with anything, because it's all about the music. And that's one thing Beasties always were, all about the music. And they end up creating messages later on. And back to the touring part, when I seen them in concert, License to Ill tour, Run DMC opened up for them. So it's always paying back, you know?
Yep.
And it's just, they're just a really amazing group. They got a chance to do things how they wanted to, and they continue doing that. And as you listen to more albums, there's songs you'll probably kick to the side, and you know, in some you can be like, yeah, this is root down Beastie Boys right there. And they have collabs with them and everything. So yeah, much respect to the Beastie Boys. You know, it's just more than just an album. It was a movement, an impact.
That's powerful, man. That's powerful. And I appreciate the words, AJ. But we got to start wrapping things up for this. And so, shout outs. All right, let's start with some shout outs. Boyd, who are you shouting out this week, sir?
This week, I want to shout out coworker of mine out of Pogo, Chance. Him and his wife, they invited me out, showed me a great time. His wife's going to make me some lasagna. I want to shout out the kids. My son Tyrese, Gavin, my son Tavon is in town. I'm gonna go scoop him up later. I want to shout out you two. You know, I mean, it's always a pleasure to get on here and collab with you guys. And I also want to give a shout out to the man above, you know, God, you know, who made all this possible. And I'm just thankful for being here, man. And anybody listening, if you have not heard the Beastie Boys, or if you still have doubts, do yourself a favor and go pick up, download, steal. I don't care what you do. License to Ill, Paul's Boutique, Check Your Head. At least get those 3. I guarantee you, after the first one, you'll be thirsty. You know, I'm telling you, cop them.
No doubt, no doubt. I was one of those cats, so no doubt that he's speaking the truth, you all. He's speaking the truth. So, AJ, shout outs this week, sir.
And on the cool check-in. Center stage on the mic, and we put it on wax. It's the new style. I had to slip that in there somehow because you gave me the mic, bro. Hey,
yes, sir.
Rob, major shout out to you. You know, for this program, the movement that you're doing is just freaking awesome, and I love being a part of it. Honored to be a part of it. Hey, Will. Awesome discussion with you. Shout out to you. This was great. A couple other shout outs. I gotta put this up here.
Okay. Yes.
All right. There's 2
Twice
meanings.
with a
Rob,
rusty
Rob
nail.
will get into the second meaning, but this
Twice
is,
with a rusty nail.
Yeah. This is the first Father's Day without my father. He passed away a couple months ago, and so I'm giving a shout out to him. You know, I miss you, love you. And, you know, you're in a better place. You're not suffering because of this. All right.
Yeah.
My next shout out is to the artist, William K. Stidham. All right. I commissioned him to paint a portrait of the Beastie Boys.
Oh, yeah.
And what that means, for those
that
who don't
was
know,
dope.
Yeah.
It's on my Facebook, heading page. And the meaning of commissioning the artist, I get that original painting, authenticated original painting that he actually did. And he did it with watercolors. It is so fresh.
Yes.
He posted on his website, and he's such an awesome dude. You know, I have 3 other paintings that he did that I ordered as reprints, and you can go to his website and reprint. But that one I did special, and it so happened it got finished before this show, and I didn't anticipate that.
Dude,
And so,
Should we put that on?
we'll have
On
to feature it on another show.
Yeah, we'll put
art,
and all that. AJ, I got you, dude. I got.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, okay, yeah.
Man.
Dude, hey, AJ, I'm gonna have to get with you and your boy and commission some art myself. That was hot. That was hot.
It is nice.
Yeah, word.
Straight up, man. Oh man, I don't even know who I'm shouting out this week, man. Like to AJ, you know, mad love to you, mad respect for you, and mad congrats on your job again, bro. That's awesome stuff with you going up to the is it DOD or DA IG office? I'm not sure.
DAIG. DA.
Okay.
Yeah, I came from DOD.
Congratulations. Shout out to boys. Shout out to DJ IE. Shout out to all the guests that are on the show. I'm with AJ. I love doing this, man. Like, I know it sounds cliche, but creating and talking about music, especially during times like this. But my shout outs are short. I want to give a quick shout out to one of my instructor buddies, Master Sergeant, actually Master Sergeant retiree now, Shanita Reed, who was my mentor when I was here at the Academy on the platform. Out to be an instructor and all those things like that. And shout out to my family. I cannot do this without them. No question with them having my back. And when I say my family, my immediate family in the house, but my Army family as well, too, because everybody knows you'll come across someone in the Army. Sometimes an extension, how I got to meet AJ was an extension of my Army family. How I got to meet I serve. So we're all brothers and sisters in arms, and I want to appreciate and showcase that. And I want to dedicate this show to MCA of the Beastie Boys, who also lost his life from cancer as well. So shout out to the Beastie Boys. Shout out to MCA. Rest in peace. And next week, we got MC Light. All right, so get
Yeah, why do I need cappuccino?
But
oh my, just like that, I crammed to understand you.
for that one too, yo. But shout out to you guys. Shout out to hip hop. We'll see you guys next week. All right, 100.
Word.
Indeed.